All right, today I have Holly Milstead, a Keller Williams top producing agent. And Holly, you have been in the business for how long now?
I have been in the business for 34 years now.
34 years. That's incredible.
It is.
At Keller Williams the whole time, or have you moved around?
No, moved around. When I first started, my parents owned their own office, and then we bought a Coldwell Banker franchise for 10 years, and then went to Keller Williams in 2001.
Why did you go from owning your own brokerage to working for a brokerage? Most people's aspirations are to go the other direction.
We just felt like the way things were evolving, it was better to be part of a larger business than the smaller at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's worked out, obviously.
Yeah.
Now you're at the McKinney office, right?
Yes.
Okay. And that's an ever-evolving office in itself.
Yeah.
And you've enjoyed your time there, obviously. How long have you been at that one?
Since 2001.
Okay. So yeah, obviously. And has it always been in that same building?
No, it actually started on El Dorado near Valley Creek Elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went to the Adriatica Castle building.
Okay.
And then over to Tucker Hill.
Yeah, that one's the newer one. That one's nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump right into, we know 34 years, but where you're going. Because I know off camera you mentioned your daughter's joining the team.
Yes.
So she's graduated college and she's coming on board with you, is that right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. You excited about that?
It's going to be pretty nice. Really looking forward to her joining. I think she's going to bring a new, young aspect to it, of course, but she's also a really smart girl, and I think she will do really well.
I remember we had talked about the social media and the fact that there's actually going to be a little bit more presence on social media now that she's coming on board.
She has already taken hold of that.
Good.
And
this right here, this will all be on social media. We use it religiously, and it brings us a lot of business.
That's great.
Yeah. So what is she doing? A lot of video content, I would guess.
She's going to be doing more reels and Instagram. She's done some with Facebook, and just kind of stepping up our presence.
Are you in the reels?
Not yet.
Nervous about being in them?
I don't know. It's just not my thing yet.
Yeah. No, over time, it becomes supernatural to be in front of the camera. And then I've been posting stories. My other business, my construction business, I would say 90% of my business comes from just constantly reminding people that it exists I go on to a job site and I do a quick 30-second, here's today's progress. We tore out the kitchen, we're laying down the tile, and people just see it over and over again. And every single customer goes, oh yeah, I saw you did that one job. And what color was that? I want to paint my kitchen that color.
Yeah.
And so even if I'm not advertising, they just remember that I do it. So over time, you'll have that same effect. The customers that you've had in the past, if they're thinking about buying a house, like, oh, and then they see you online, oh, I need to call Holly.
Right.
Yeah. It works really well.
That's good. That's good, because we're doing a lot more of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, you're not posting any of it. You're just in the background.
I do.
Yeah? Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so she's joining the team. Do you have like a specific role that she's going to do? Or are you going to start out in the basements with TC work and then bring her out? Or are you going to just...
No, she actually was showing property this morning.
Okay, nice.
So, yeah, she started out as full-blown realtor.
Very nice. Is she doing the open houses?
Yes.
Yeah. I tell agents all the time, that's such a good way to build up your little sphere and clients, because everyone that's walking in there, at least half of them are looking for a house.
Right.
Right? You get to meet them.
Half. She's grown up with it all of her life, like I have. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a different aspect of our real estate dynamic. Is I grew up in it from my parents did it, and she grew up in it with me. So.
Third generation.
Actually fourth. I just didn't know my grandfather.
He was in real estate as well?
He was.
What did he sell?
I guess whatever they had. I don't know.
It's got to be the very early turn of the century.
It was.
1900s, early 1900s.
Yeah, real estate was.
Did they have 3% commission in 1900?
I think they did.
Really?
Yeah, I think they did. Anyway, I don't know, but it's kind of it's interesting, knowing what they used to do. My father actually had listing 1 and 2 in MLS.
Really?
When it came about. So
on MLS,
we were really on the ground floor.
Number 1 and 2 listing.
Yeah.
Jeez. When did MLS come about?
Because
I've never known it without MLS.
Right. I haven't either. And I started in '89, so it was obviously before that. I'd say probably the '80s.
Okay.
At some point.
And he was primarily just normal residential real estate?
No.
No? He did everything?
Yeah, he was a real estate appraiser, and he did more land and commercial.
Okay.
My mother opened up the residential side.
Very nice. And then you started obviously, but 3rd generation. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a no-brainer. You got to learn a lot along the way.
I didn't intend to do that. I got a business.
Were you going to be an astronaut, or what were you?
I got a business degree with a communication minor, and got out and started looking for a job, and just didn't like with what I was offered. And so Mom said, well, you could always do real estate. And I thought, no, I don't want to do that yet. And I fought it for about 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I got my license, and I said, okay, I'll try it.
So I'm still fighting it, because my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my father all sold insurance.
Oh, really?
Yes. I have not sold insurance yet. I've been tempted, but I was like you. I was, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. So I have a construction business and a home inspection business.
Well, it looks like that's working out okay.
So far, it's working out. I fear once I get into my 40s, though, it's just kind of like you start getting tired at 9 o'clock at night. I'm just going to emerge into the insurance world somehow. It'll just happen. I won't even realize it.
Yeah.
So
It's natural.
Yeah. But no, I enjoy what we're doing now. I get to build something different. That's fun. And I assume that same for your daughter. You get to, now that you're creating a team, you can kind of pass it off. Something that's not just the next generation does it now. You have a whole...
Yeah, you want to make sure the business that you're passing off is quality. Mm-hmm. And I think it is. Yeah. I think we have a really good name in the business.
34 years, obviously you've done something right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just taught good values. Always tell the truth.
What are those values? You told me earlier you guys like to give to a homeless shelter.
Yes.
So there's one value.
Absolutely.
Tell me about that real quick.
Giving back is really important to us.
Mm-hmm.
The Samaritan Inn homeless shelter is on our family's property, where my dad actually built the house on there in 1950, and it was in our family for generations.
That's fantastic.
I rode horses on the property. It was, I have a soft spot in my heart for it. And I don't know, it's just nice to know that we are able to provide the place for the homeless people as well as provide for them, when we give back.
Right.
We donate to the shelter.
I always notice when I go travel, especially abroad to like 3rd world countries or just less financially independent countries, or well-off countries, I should say. Mm-hmm. You come back from those trips, and nothing matters about money or materialism or anything, because you see these kids. Right. Yeah, I was in Peru. We were climbing a mountain in Peru, and our tour guide at the bottom of the hill, he said, "Everyone, just buy 5 or 6 loaves of bread." Okay. And as you're climbing up, these kids come out of nowhere, and they're holding out their hands, and you break off a piece of bread, and you give it to them, and you keep climbing this mountain. Oh. And when you get home, you're like, do I really need all this stuff, or the money, or any of it? And you don't. And so I think it's so important as you guys. That's incredible, providing a place for them to stay, and then even more.
Yeah, that is. It truly is a blessing to be able to do that.
Yeah, obviously. You work hard, and I think that's important if you're in the position where you can produce a certain level of income, that you definitely give some of it back.
Right.
You work hard for that, for others that might not be able to. Are there
Absolutely.
homeless veterans in there as well, or?
I don't know who's in there currently. I do know that, I mean, they have high standards for the people they accept. There's always not enough room.
Right.
But, I mean, you have to be looking for a job, and, you know, you have to be trying. It's more a hand up than a hand out.
Love that.
So,
Get them on their feet.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
Absolutely. And they have different tiers in there of when you first come in, you have your level, and then as you graduate and you start taking financial classes, and they
great.
teach you how to manage your money.
Yeah.
And then they have apartments that you can move into, and then that's the next level. So
That's
then
incredible.
you start kind of paying a little bit, and then eventually you move out.
I love that.
It's a good, really, it's an excellent place to support if you need somewhere to support.
Agents that I've talked to, whether I interview them here or just in person or whatever, the ones I notice that don't give back, that don't really care, and that they're in it strictly for themselves and just too much ego, they don't last in this industry.
No.
And they tend never to really last in any industry either.
It has to be worth more than just the check you get at closing.
Yeah, and I hear that every time I interview a top producing agent. They say it's transaction second, and it's the person first. The transaction comes later, but you're putting someone in the most stressful situation
Yep.
of their life, probably, because they're making, for 99% of the people, the largest financial decision they will ever make,
Right.
and you have to hold their hand through it. You're going to get paid at the end, but all the way up until the end, it's not your obligation to think about your payment. And so
Right.
many agents get that wrong, and they just don't last.
That's right.
No.
If that's what your focus is, this is not the industry. It really isn't. My focus, well, one of my rules of thumb has always been to never sell anybody something that I wouldn't be proud to sell for them whenever it's their turn.
Okay.
So I always think of resale when we purchase.
Resale.
You try to put them in the best position buying that they can be in when they're selling. You try to future cast it basically for them so they have a good investment. I have multiple clients that I sold in the 90s that we have come back and done multiple transactions with, and that's why they come back. They say, you helped me with this, it was a great investment, and now I can sell it with you and help me find another one.
How do you analyze that? How do you go into a house and look around? Obviously, you're looking at the CMA.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at other data.
Right.
But what do you do when a client just falls in love with something that you're walking around going, this is bad? Do you try and talk them out of it?
I
Gently caution
I guess the
them?
short answer is yes.
Okay.
But yeah, I would tell them, keep something in mind. You might want to consider this aspect. 5 years down the road, how's that going to feel?
Mm-hmm.
How long do you plan to live there?
Right.
Those are all good questions. What's your real goal here? Why are you moving? Why is this the best place?
I hear you asking questions rather than making statements. I've always felt that that's a great way to make people realize things on their own, rather than, Dad always says you shouldn't do it this because of this, and teenagers,
Right.
no, whatever, I'm gonna do it this way. People are the exact same way. You tell them something, they might not listen, but if you ask the questions that you're asking, they come to the answer on their own.
Yeah.
And then they think about it as they're sleeping, and they wake up and they go, And then they tell you they had an epiphany.
Right.
It was their idea.
I like the word why.
Mm-hmm.
So they say, I don't like that. Why do you like that? And
Explain to me.
explain to me why that's important. Why do you like the location? Why do you like that color? You're surprised when you get the answer. Because Because you're not them.
Right.
You know, everybody has their reasoning, and it's their goal, not yours.
What do you think the number one, and not based on statistics or anything, the number one motivator when someone walks through a home? Because you ask them why, and the color, the kitchen, the whatever it is. What do you think the number one thing is subjectively when your clients, when they walk through a house, they go, I fell in love with it because of X?
Buying a house is very emotional.
Yeah.
So it's, really kind of depends on who the buyer is that's walking through. If they're very, kind of an emotional, touchy-feely kind of buyer, it might be the smell of the house. Smells remind us of things.
Yes.
And, it can be a positive or a negative. It might be the flow of the floor plan that I don't like walking into that wall sometimes it's that. If they're a kind of a black and white kind of person, they come in and they go, don't like that color. Where's the kitchen's not right. There's not enough cabinets. Okay.
Color, do you find it easy to convince clients that color can be changed so easily? Or is it a hard sell? Because I've always found it that a lot of agents tell me it's a bit of a hard sell to say,
it's a hard sell.
For $5,000, we could change every color in this house if you want.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's a hard sell.
It is. It really is. Our family has flipped houses. We've done remodels. I've even, for clients, we've helped them remodel to sell their house. And so if we go in and said, you can sell it at this, or we can spend
Yeah, what do you recommend people paint their house color if they're trying to sell it?
as neutral as possible.
Just
I hate to say that.
The blank canvas.
Yeah.
So to
It is.
offend the least amount of people?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people can look at a neutral house and see paint, but they can't see a painted house and see it neutral.
Okay.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
So, I can guide them through. If you spend $60,000, now you can make $120,000 if they're open to that.
Right.
Sometimes they're not open to that.
They want to as is sell.
Yeah.
Do you find clients get offended when you say, oh, for the easiest sale, we really need to get rid of this pink carpet?
Absolutely not.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think that's probably the most asked thing is, what do we need to do to get this done?
Okay.
They'll do just about anything. That's on the sell side. On the buyer side, the younger the buyers are, the less open to painting and doing repairs they are.
They've never done it.
They
don't
haven't.
know how easy it can be.
No. Now the older people, they're more open to it, but
They've probably been through a remodel at least once.
sure.
Yeah.
And if the sellers can go ahead and do it, that gets the house sold much faster.
Have you seen a transition into a little bit more of a buyer's market and sellers need to be a little bit more conscious about how the house looks and shows?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. For the same reason.
We've noticed that because during that crazy period a few years ago, just 2 years ago maybe, when people are putting bids on houses and it was that final and best by this time, we were, as a home inspection company, we weren't really being used because a lot of people say, waive inspection, waive this, we're just going to buy it as is. As it's rotating, people are buying more expensive inspections with us and using that as leverage at the negotiation table. And they want a full, deep analysis of the house so that they can sit down and be like, well, this is wrong.
Right.
And we're loving it as the vendor that does that.
Yeah.
Because it's helping us dramatically. But I have noticed that switch, and when I see that over the years, it usually means we're going into a buyer's market.
Yeah. We're at about, 3 months on the market average right now. And
That's an eternity compared to 2 years ago.
it is. When I started though, go way back,
6 months? Yeah.
6 to 9 months was not unusual.
Right.
And
That's an interesting conversation to have with your client when you walk in and you're trying
Absolutely.
to sell your services to them as the seller's representative. You then have to say, this house could sit here for 3 quarters?
So I tell them I want to make sure we have a good relationship during the first interview, because if we're not comfortable with each other now, we're not going to be comfortable with each other throughout the rest of the process. It's like
Right.
dating, then getting married.
Uh-huh.
You know,
That
it's like it
first
doesn't.
impression, yeah.
Yeah, it's still the first impression thing. And when we used to have agents interviewing multiple agents, or owners interviewing agents, I would say pick the one you're most comfortable with, because we're going to be talking and we're going to be going back and forth with, what do we need to change? What do we need to do? Let's revisit what the house looks like. Let's revisit the marketing. Let's look at these things. And you want someone you're comfortable with and that you trust.
Yeah.
I
Especially
feel like
if you're going
that's
to be with them
important.
for 9 months.
Or less.
Hopefully less.
Hopefully on the less side, yeah.
Yeah.
We still have things moving quickly.
Right.
But they're niche marketing.
Your daughter being brand new to this, and she's going into the buyer's market, are you influencing her to go find buyers now? Or equally the same as normal?
I mean, of course, yeah. I mean, she always needs to be open to finding a new buyer.
Yeah.
And
Finding a listing as well.
oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding business. We have a lot of business. We've been blessed. We have a good sphere of influence. We have, agents that trust working with us, inspectors that trust working with us and refer listings to us, and buyers. So
You talk about trust I've not known you very long, admittedly, but from the moment I met you, I felt like I could trust you.
people tell me that a lot.
I suspect, that a lot of
Yeah.
people would say that, and I've met some agents. I keep a distance because I meet them immediately, and I'm like, I just don't know if I can trust this guy. But we talked on the phone, we sat down for lunch, we've had a handful of interactions, but I just immediately, I'm like, yeah, I trust her.
Yeah.
She calls me, I'm going to answer, and whatever she tells me is the truth. I suspect all of your clients share that same sentiment.
They do.
Yeah. Why is that? You're calming.
I have had people say, you're so calm.
Yeah.
When things happen, it's like you really think about things. Is that really important?
Right.
How important is that problem in the whole realm of things, and can it be solved?
Does it need to be solved?
And does it need to be solved? You're right. I feel like I'm really good with negotiation, so some problems get solved with negotiation.
Okay.
And it's not really a win-lose negotiation.
Right.
You
want both parties to feel comfortable.
Everybody needs to feel like they have won, or everyone loses.
Should I call you to buy my next car? Go in and negotiate at the dealer for me?
Can't say I'm really good with the car negotiation. Well, I don't know, then again.
It's so hard to
My
know if you're
husband
getting a
might
good
disagree
deal.
with that, because I just bought a car a year ago and he was like,
You got a deal?
he wanted to get out of the room. He was
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's, from an agent's perspective, or from a buyer or a seller's perspective, I want my agent to be good at negotiating.
Right.
And I definitely don't want them to piss off the other side.
Right.
Because we want the deal to go through, and ethically, of course.
Yeah.
But I noticed that from the very beginning, that you seemed very trusting. The fact that you say you've been in the business for 34 years, it makes perfect sense that you've been able to stand that test of time. Because so many agents, 18 months, they're gone.
Right.
This industry is dominated by that turnover effect, for sure.
It is.
And so for someone to say that long.
And it's no wonder that, buyers and sellers have trouble trusting, because there is such turnover.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, we're all human. We want to be treated right.
We've been working on building, I get a similar, people say they trust me, I think it's the glasses. Makes me seem innocent for some reason. But we strive very hard, and we work very hard in getting a lot of trust in our industry. Because most people don't know 90% of the things that the inspector knows about inspecting a house, and they're trusting that that inspector is going to do a good job and tell them precisely what's wrong with the house, what could be wrong in the future.
Right.
And that's a hard trust to build. It
Yeah.
really is. And so selecting, for me as a business owner, selecting the right guys, calm, collected in nature, and can explain things thoroughly. And it's taken a while to build trust in the industry, especially with real estate agents going, hey, I got my guy, I like him. And
Yeah.
we've earned that trust over time, and we've since grown. But I mean, same thing with you. It's that trust has kept us continuously getting agents over and over and over again. And for business at least, I think that's arguably the most important thing: trust and ethics.
Absolutely.
And I feel like you have both.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like that too, but you just, yeah, you want your clients to agree with that.
And your daughter gets to benefit from the name.
True.
I'm Holly's daughter. How can I help you? It's like, oh, great.
She's pretty big on, believe it or not, earning her own way.
Good.
She really is.
Yeah.
She wants to have her own path and earn everything that she gets.
I'd rather have my parents have a great name than a tainted name, though, if I'm going into business.
Right?
Yeah, so that's fantastic. Anyone else in the family joining in, or no?
That's it. She's an only child.
Okay. How about the team? Are you growing with a new TC? Are you expanding?
So I have a really great assistant
Good.
that had been a buyer's agent and transitioned into being an admin currently.
Okay.
So she does TC and admin for me both.
The power of that, and a lot of agents don't understand, having someone in your corner in the background handling, because you can call them while you're on the road, but I totally forgot. I need to get this, this, and this done.
100%.
And if they're at the desk at the computer, like, I got you, and they can handle it, and they make you look like a rock star.
Yeah.
Even when you've forgotten things, which I do all the time. I always say Maddie runs my whole business, truly.
Well, you
And-
know, realtors are known for not being the best at paperwork.
Yeah,
And
no kidding.
she's really good with my paperwork. Thank goodness.
Yeah. She takes care of it for you.
I know what it should look like,
Right.
and then she presents it.
There you go.
So, yeah,
That's helpful.
that is
Yeah,
good.
having a good TC in the background is great. Having an assistant is fantastic. And I always tell agents, when you feel overwhelmed, hire another one.
Yeah.
And you slowly start building this team, and before you know it, you got 4 or 5 guys and girls below you, and they're answering to you. How did I do that? And when you get overwhelmed, hire someone else, and the team just kind of organically grows.
It's, and that's the thing about real estate. You're not in a box.
Mm-mm.
There's no set way to do things. It's how you want your business to look,
Right.
which I think that has benefited me well.
Yeah.
I've never worked for anybody else really, so
Why would you?
I guess you're right.
It's the best. I love working for myself. I have taken pay cuts. I've been offered to be a project manager, like my construction company. Someone offered me more money than I was making on my own. I said, I don't care, man. Because at 3 o'clock, I can go cut off for the day if I need to. I can go to lunch with a friend. I have these freedoms. Obviously, I'm working my ass off, but I still have these freedoms.
Absolutely.
So it's worth a slight pay cut for me, at least.
Yeah.
The freedom.
I
Yeah.
remember when I was my daughter's age, thinking I can make as much or as little as I want to make,
Right.
depending on how hard you want to work. I
Yeah.
had someone tell me they wake up every day unemployed
Yes.
and decide if you want a job.
That's so true.
So, yeah.
That's
You
fantastic.
can get a job every day or you can lose a job every day. It's up to you.
Right.
It's all in your character.
Obviously, you wake up more days hungry than you do not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic.
I'm very what is the word? Not aggressive, but I just
Well, you're consistent.
competitive.
Yeah,
That's the
okay.
word I'm looking for.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's worked.
And consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Consistency. There's that difference between the discipline and the motivation. I get motivated to get in like peak fitness, but my discipline makes me go to the gym every day, even if I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a floor that I refuse to get lower than. and that's the discipline. But the motivation comes and goes, and that's the same as consistency. You wake up every day, you're going to work. I don't feel like it, but I'm going to go to work.
Absolutely.
And it's working.
Yeah.
Well,
and you have people relying on you.
yeah, exactly.
Again. Anyway.
So, any future plans, big plans that if we check back in a year, I'm going to say, oh, wow,
Grow the team.
grow the team.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me.
Okay.
So, guys, I'm going to put all of Holly's information in the description below. If you want to contact her, email, text, phone call, everything will be down there. And it was an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you. It was a
And-
pleasure to talk to you too.
Thanks. We'll catch back in a year.
All right.
All right.